So, hello, welcome to the Barbarian Breakdown, episode 1. We're gonna across the league, Barbarian League. We're gonna talk about the teams, what they've done, what they're doing, what's happening, roster changes, results, fixtures, and basically everything that I can think is relevant. So let's have a little catch up. If this is for episode 1, so let's have a little catch up, right? So on March 23rd, 18 teams entered into a qualifier to battle out for 8 spots in the league. The top 8 teams all made it to the league, which is coming up soon. Highly Rated did sign up, but they didn't wake up on the day, so they missed their chance, which allowed maybe for a team that you may not have expected to get in. We'll have to see. Hopefully we'll see them in the LCQ, but that's a different story. So anyway, the 8 teams that made it through the qualifier were Phantom T, Low Field of View, Best Field of View, Team ZenX, XSE Sports, Class 1A, TSU, Foreigners Unite, and Zidane and Mbappe. Since then, there's been some changes, not just to the players, but to the team names themselves. So Phantom T became Rated R. Lovely to see Rated R back in the European scene. And congratulations to Phantom T. They've grafted, they're good doing it, and now they're with an amazing org. It's a really good thing. TSU have notified their name change. They've gone from TSU to Volta. It's maybe Toby Campbell influencing that a little bit with his constant sort of, that's not TSU, that's not the TSU, because there's only a couple of them in the roster. So they've gone with Volta. I'm not sure where that came from, but I do like the name. Lancer Queen knocked up a logo for them, looks pretty smart. And Zidane and Mbappe are now called TSMC. So there's the names of the teams up to date. But we've had, the qualifier happened 2 weeks ago, right? And we've had a bit of roster mania since then. It's to be expected. It's between splits, so we had to take it into consideration for the benefit of the league. The first change was Foreigners Unite. So Toomey and Blade YB were swapped out for Chidwick and Bertie. Chidwick, a very experienced comp player. Bertie alongside. Chidwick, the more experienced of the two. But it's still strong changes coming in there. Taking away Toomey, I think, could bite them in the arse in the future, but we'll have to see. So now they can't make any more roster changes for the remainder of the league. So we'll try not to have any more roster changes. We're trying our best to keep the teams and what's going on. But anyway, the sort of big roster change came with ZenX. Team ZenX coming through third in the qualifier, top 4 in the UGL split finals. Sinfuls, now Para 1A, is left Team ZenX and he's went and joined Class 1A. Went sort of back to a team that he has been with previously. And Class 1A, they dropped Precision in the process. So it's been a bit up and down for ZenX, especially on who their 4th is. And they've been running things with Vicious Kyle. I think he is the 4th, but there may be some issues with him playing on day 1. So they may be using Slaps from Highly Rated, who obviously didn't qualify, as their sub for week 1, and then having Vicious Carl ready for week 2. We're trying to keep it 1 roster change permitted per week as best as we can. Like we're doing the best we fucking can, man. Like what more do you want? B movements on the X's squad. He subbed in for the qualifier, causing them to. I'm not going to say causing, that's maybe a bit harsh on him, but we didn't see them qualify in the league. For the league as highly as we would have expected. But now Krim is back in the place of movement, which obviously is going to give them not only a huge confidence boost, but I would have to say a huge skill boost along the way. So Zidane and Mbappe, now TSMC, they looked like they were going to sort of lose their position in the league. The team sort of fell apart a bit. Warrior was subbed for the qualifier so they could get strikers in, but then strikers came and he sort of went straight away but took Slays in with him. But they picked up Toomey, who had already qualified for league, but unfortunately was dropped by Foreigners United, so he joined them. And then Chris RN came, who we've recently seen in the Barbarian Battles. He came in to fill in that roster, so they're now ready, excited to play. Possibly the least experienced in terms of actual game time together in the league. But they are also the most diverse team, with one player being from France, one being from England, one from Portugal, and one from Italy. So I mean, I'm excited to see what those boys can do. Nobody really saw this one coming, I think, when the Barbarian Battles week 10, when 2 members of TSU played alongside Hydron and MX Notorious, and they basically 1 week 10, making the first time in the Barbarian Battles we'd seen mouse and keyboard players win. Hydrone's motto apparently on that one is, if you can't beat them, join them. And they did win that tournament, they got it done, and now for the league, TSU, now known as Volta, dropped AO Bacon for Hydrone, and there was some issues as well with getting Man Don't Care on this Sunday. Apparently he had work but forgot until the day before. So they've brought Notorious back into that roster now, so it's Kinset, Whispers, Noto and Hydrone, making that potentially a really, really dangerous team, because they've already won 1 Barbarian Battles, and so maybe a contender for the #1 league spot. We'll have to see. The only 2 teams who've made no roster changes, if you've been paying attention, is Rated R and Low Field View, Best Field View. So they're coming in with the same squads they had 2 weeks ago. Obviously, Rated R coming off the back of the EGL split finals, coming out with a wonderful performance, taking top 3, and Low Field View, Best Field View, debating and claiming that they are the best PC team, well, mouse and keyboard team, but we'll have to see now with this new sort of hybrid team of Volta. There has been some hiccups, as we say. We're trying to do everything we can, keep it as smoothly as possible, but the picks and bans are going underway. Everyone knows who they're playing. On day 1, each team will play 3 games. We have the schedule for the stream. It starts at 3 PM UK time, and that'll be starting the same time every single week on the Sunday. Game 1 of the stream will be Zenix versus Rated R. Really excited for that one. Especially with how well they've been playing. Plus, it's 2 of the big orgs. They're in there, opening up nicely and getting it straight in. From there, we'll be following 1A for the rest of the day. Actually, to be honest, we'll be following them through first against Exis, and then against Low Field of View, Best Field of View. So, an opportunity for Class 1A to maybe make a name for themselves, maybe cause an upset. I'm definitely interested to see how they perform against Low Field View, Best Field View. I think that could definitely be the game to watch. Unfortunately, the mouse and keyboard teams, they are teeing off this week, but because of hiccups, we had to change the stream schedule. But they will be playing off stream. Hopefully, we'll get to see those 2 teams clash later into the series, into the split, in the split finals. We did ask the teams some questions before the league. We had to get a feel for them, feel for the representatives from each team, what they're hoping, what they think they can do. Just a couple of questions to each team. So starting with Low Field View, Best of View, I asked Toby Campbell, how do you and your team feel about being allowed to compete alongside the best controller teams in the EU and get a fair shot at them? Toby replied, we've always wanted an environment where we can routinely play against top players in the game, and this league is giving the team something to look forward to each weekend. Followed up with that, do you think they'll finish above Volta? Formerly TSU, now they've picked up Hydron, but Noto as well. Toby says, Volta are a great team. I think we'll all be pretty closely matched, especially in escalation. But he feels in escalation he will have the edge if his team performs well. But we'll have to see with Noto coming in there as well. It's definitely going to be a game to watch. But Toby, fairly modest, fairly composed, it would seem, in the build-up. I think they're going to do well. We do have 8 of the best teams around. I did ask Volta the same sort of questions, if they thought they finished with Low Field View, but they declined to answer. I mean, they read the message, so maybe an answer in itself. We'll let our gameplay do the talking. Statics representing TSMC. I asked, with absolute roster mania causing you to almost not only lose your team but your spot in the league as well, do you feel your team stands a solid chance in the league with such little experience compared to the other teams? Honestly, we probably stand less chance than a polar bear surviving in the Sahara Desert. Oh, that's all he can do. I mean, at least he's honest with it. There's still 3 weeks of the Barbarian League. Like, we've got 2 weeks of days. You've got the time to play, so maybe the finals, keep on the grind. I think this team could potentially be dangerous. And then ask, who do you feel could be your easiest opponent? So, like, who do you think you could beat? He said, I would say as a team, he would go with Bertie and Co, which is obviously Forest Unite, will be the team that we can believe that we can beat. 1A, with the pick of Para, has made an influential change in their style and an increase in their team chemistry, with him being the sort of player they need to go alongside Jimmy. So he may have thought that they could have taken 1A, but the introduction of para/sinfuls has maybe stunted the chance. Thanks for those answers there, Statics. The number 1 seed and the winner of the qualifiers, Rated R, they got the question. So, Rated R, Phantom, they are probably the team in the most form. 0 roster changes, and each of you seems to be on fire. Do you think you can keep this form going and take the number 1 spot in the league? Rowdy sends, that depends if Crim is back with excess. I think it is possible to end up first, but it will be tough. We simply need to take each team serious enough. Since it is Gears 5, some miracles can happen. Amen to that, brother. It's why we love the game and scene so much, as well as the game can be questionable sometimes, but it does set up for opportunities. Payne's answer from Excess, he was very, very, very much to the point. I asked Payne's, I said, now you've got Crim back, which is obviously we've confirmed, are you confident you can win the league? And is there any teams that you guys will show respect to? Or will we receive the same high pressure, high slaying power we've come to expect from your team? Short and sweet here, Payne's, very simple. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to win, and no, I don't think there's anyone that can beat us, like when I honestly look at the league. Fair enough, short and sweet, straight to the point. Payne's doesn't think any of us can beat him. We'll have to see. Crisis, Crim, Bouncers and Payne's is it's when highly rated aren't around, maybe they can come as a dominant team. We hope to see highly rated, as we say in the LCQ. But for the league, you have to wonder if X's are the favourites. Payne's definitely seems to think so. So then we move on to Zenix. They had a bit of problem with the roster and whatnot, but we asked Breaker, after accepting 3rd seed from the qualifier, because his team decided to go off and not push further, they took 3rd seed. There's been some roster changes. Do you still think your team has the potential to make top 3 in the league with the new roster? Breaker, confident as ever, says yes, of course. I think even though the change was taken out of our hands, I think the change is a great thing for us. Might not be amazing at first, but I have no doubt in my mind that the potential is high now, and with a bit of work, I don't see why we can't push even further. I mean, that's definitely the spirit to have. You do love to see it. It's onwards, always onwards. Onwards and forwards, forwards and onwards, onwards and upwards goes Breaker and Team Zenix. We did ask him then, which team are you most wary to face? He said, we're not really wary of any team as such. We just focus on ourselves and our gameplay and try and play our best every time. But if I was going to say anyone, it's either Exis or Phantom, now Rated R. Exis, because of the raw skill on their roster, they can take over a game with it, so you have to be on it versus them. Not sure what it is. Maybe a footstool so you can see higher. I don't know. But he has to be on it. And then he's worried with Rated R because of the momentum and form they're currently in. We've mentioned that earlier. Absolutely the team to beat when it comes to form. So shut them down will take a lot, but we do believe we can do it. Thank you very much for that, Breaker. We'll be watching that closely. You are the first game as well. Rated R versus Zenix is the first game. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. It should open up the league grandly. Foreigners unite. They got the questions asked to bands. Take an honest look at the teams in this league. Where do you think your team will finish? You dropping Toomey out of the roster and then him joining another league team. Does it set up a bit of a rivalry between your teams? And are you confident you can defeat them? And banged after speaking to his team, or maybe he just spoke straight away. But said there's top teams like Rated R and Exis, and the mouse and keyboard teams are teams that you have to take into consideration. I'm very confident that my team can beat Toomey's team. When Toomey's team left our team, it was on good terms, so we don't really have a rivalry between us, but we are good mates, so it will be bragging rights for whoever wins. That is great to hear. As we all know, the bragging rights is something worth fighting for in the EU Gears community. In any, I think everyone loves a bit of bragging rights. And now, I asked Brazil from 1A, right? And this one was an absolute belter. I asked him a couple of questions and he decided to write me a university grade essay on questions. So we're going to try and summarise it and give it to you the best we can so we can see out there. I asked, how does two of the more experienced players in the EU community, referring to Brazil and Jimmy B, come to play with two of the best young guns in the scene, meaning we got Zenji and Para? And do you think this gives you guys an extra edge with this mix of old and new school, like gameplay and styles? We're going to shorten down the answer, but you can read Brazil's full reply on the Barbarian League website, which Lancer Queen has created. And of course, there you can also get the schedule, fixtures, table, players, etc. And the link is in the description of this video. Brazil, in a nutshell, said we got very lucky coming across Para and Zenji. Para was a recommendation from an ex-teammate, Mush, and I wanted to team with Zenji back on KS4, but he wasn't old enough. As for me and Jim, we've known each other since 2014 and always got along, so teaming just made sense. Yes, I think we have a huge edge. I genuinely believe we're the most dynamic teams in the region. Jimmy B is without a doubt in my mind one of the best players to come from this region, a genuine X-Factor player that he can just win rounds on his own. Me and Jim have obviously performed at LAN and been in big games, so we have a lot of mileage. We know what it takes to be a top caliber team, and we believe that with this will help guide Para and Zenji to be the best players in the region. Jim lead by example with his skill and leadership in game, and me with my experience and versatility. Para and Zenji are by far and away the best young talents in the region. So with that said, yes, I think we have a lot about us, a perfect blend of experience and skill to compete at the very highest level, and I reckon provided the opportunities to do so, we will prove it. It does go on, there's a bit longer, as I say, you can see on the website the full reply. There's a lot of Jimmy B dick sucking, but it's like the guy playing the Blong recently was like dropped 44 kills or something. Like, the guy is definitely one to fucking watch. I can't wait to see what he does. I mean, and the mates as well. It's not really dick sucking, but you get it. It's funny, man. Like, you love it when someone's that passionate about the team and passionate about the teammates, because you just know that there is passion, hype, and drive there, as well as chemistry. So it's definitely going to be something to think about for that team. So that's it for the Barbarian Breakdown episode 1. I do hope you've enjoyed tuning in. The streams are live every Sunday, 3 PM UK time. You will be able to catch the highlights and whatnot on my YouTube channel as well. Now, with the new upgraded hardware, the quality should be going up quite nicely, and we should have a nice series coming over the next few weeks in the league, highlights, the Barbarian Breakdowns, and then obviously we have the Barbarian Battles and the Barbarian Pits going on every Wednesday and Friday. So there's a lot going on in the Barbarian EU Gears scene. So that's it. I'm afraid I will see you again next week, if I don't see you beforehand in one of the streams. Take care now, and don't forget, people. Never ever forget. Always keep it classy.